And from one conflict zone to the other. In Ukraine, according to reports, dozens of Ukrainian soldiers have gone AWOL in France. You heard that right. French army officials have reported that dozens of Ukrainian soldiers have deserted from an elite brigade while training in France. What's really going on? Ukraine's 155th Mechanized Brigade was supposed to be a flagship Ukrainian unit to be trained and equipped by France. And the elite brigade has been named Anne of Kiev after the daughter of a medieval prince, Yaroslav the Wise, who married French King Henry I. In fact, the unit was one of several formed last year as Ukraine sought to boost preparations for possible new Russian offensives. The Ukrainian unit was personally inspected by the French President Emmanuel Macron in northeast France in October. Around 2,300 of the Ukrainian soldiers have been trained in France. 2,200 more are being trained in Ukraine. So what happened to them? On Monday, Ukraine's land forces commander admitted that there were problems with the army unit. This after reports that many of its soldiers had deserted. According to the French army official, the Ukrainian soldiers who were trained in France were subject to a disciplinary regime imposed by the Ukrainian command. The unnamed French army official, quoted by news agency AFP, said, and I'm quoting, "We do not criminalize desertion in France." Quoting further, if someone deserted, a French prosecutor had no authority to arrest that individual, and the right granted to the Ukrainian authorities on French soil is just a disciplinary right, quote unquote. Earlier in December 2023, prominent Ukrainian journalist Yuri Butusov reported that 1,700 soldiers had fled the brigade without going into combat. He reported that 50 soldiers had, quote-unquote, escaped while training in France. And according to AFP, most of the soldiers arriving in France were conscripts with no combat experience. They were reportedly accompanied by 300 Ukrainian supervisors. Since there are no restrictions in the French barracks where they were undergoing training, it seems that the Ukrainian soldiers had deserted the battle. And now, according to the Ukrainian journalist Butusov, the brigade's senior commanders have either been fired or are in the process of being fired. Now, this is a setback for Ukraine. After 3 years of the war, the Ukrainian army has been struggling with personnel shortages, not to mention low morale on the front line. We've been telling you about this. It has reached a point, in fact, where Ukrainian soldiers, journalists, as well as military bloggers have increasingly started criticizing the Ukrainian government. And as far as the Anne of Kiev brigade's future is concerned, it has admitted to having problems with personnel. On social media, it has released an appeal for its lost recruits. It is appealing them to report back to base. The unit's appeal on Facebook reads, I'm quoting, "We understand that the reasons which have forced you to go AWOL may have been different. Return to the team. We are waiting for you," quote unquote. It's quite unfortunate, really. Now, Ukraine's State Bureau of Investigation is investigating the brigade for desertion and abuse of power. And just last week, Ukrainian Defense Minister Rustem Umerov announced that the Defense Ministry will be conducting a comprehensive analysis of the Land Forces Command. The plan basically is to implement reforms in management and personnel policies. After 3 years of the intense fight with the formidable Russian forces, the Ukrainian troops have grown war-weary in a way. No wonder then soldiers are now opting for a return to normalcy, perhaps choosing life and security over the uncertainty of the battlefield. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.